Hey everybody, and welcome to Indie Film Cafe. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and I'm doing a solo show tonight. I'm going to be talking about two Christmas movies that I just saw, and I'm going to review for you. So please enjoy. So the first movie that I'm going to talk about is Ugly Sweater Party, which is why I chose to kind of wear this ugly sweater, which actually, to me, honestly, it's not that ugly. I kind of like it. But this film was written and directed by Aaron Minto, who I've interviewed just recently, actually, after I watched the movie. I paid for it on Amazon Prime or Amazon Video and to rent it and everything. And I was super excited. I got to interview Aaron, but I also got to interview Charles Chudabala, who acts in it. And so let me get to the cast of this film real quick. This has got a pretty crazy cast. It's got Felissa Rose, Sean Whalen, Charles Chudabala, Hunter Johnson, Laura Jean, Tiffany Brooke Fest, Emily Dom, Marv Blavel. I really can't say his name right, and I even know the guy, and I'm really bad with names. Jen Nangle and more. There's a huge cast in this movie. Basically, Charles Chudabala and Hunter Johnson play two best friends, whatever you want to say, and they end up finding out because Hunter Johnson's character ends up. And I'm not going to go into names of the characters and everything, but I will go to who they are, what they are. But basically, Hunter Johnson's character is very kind of, I don't know. I'm not going to say idiotic, but he's not the brightest bulb in the shed or whatever. And he ends up they ended up meeting these two girls, I guess they're sisters, who invite them to go to an ugly sweater party through this text invitation, but it's too long of a text, so he didn't skim it and everything, and they find out later after he reads the whole thing that it's an ugly sweater party, and so he ends up having to do that. They have to find a ugly sweater, which is interesting. So he ends up they find an ugly sweater when they almost run over this bum who isn't really a bum. He's just, he was just, I guess he's a bum, but they end up taking his sweater from him, and the sweater is possessed by this, possessed by this ghost of this serial killer. So you've got a possession movie, and you've got a thing. But the ironic thing is they go to the ugly sweater party, and it's at a camp, and it's like a Bible camp. So it's just such a goofy movie. It's so much fun. It is probably the weirdest movie you will see for Christmas. When I interviewed Aaron, he said that every time that he tried to as he was writing it, he felt like it was going to a place that people would expect it to go. He decided to make a left and go somewhere completely different. And I can definitely see that in the script, this movie. I'm sure the script was just out there completely when people read it. And I enjoy that. I enjoy where you're kind of oh man, that was different. That went in a totally different direction. And I felt like it did. I felt like it had a lot of comedy in it, which some people might be turned off by in a horror film. I know a lot of people just don't like comedy in their horror, which I love comedy in my horror. In fact, Scream is one of my favorite horror films, and everything like that. And I love Friday the 13th Part 8, which a lot of people hate. I think some of it is because of the comedy. I think also some of it's because it's not really a Friday the 13th movie except for Jason. It doesn't really take place at Crystal Lake. It takes place on a boat half the movie, and then on the other, whatever. But I like that. That's my kind of thing. So I liked Ugly Sweater Party a lot. I enjoyed where it was going. There was some really over the top acting, but that was all on purpose. The only thing, like, when I was watching it, I was a little confused because there was like some scenes with the this other character that is like at his house and he's calling the people or whatever, and there's like this live band playing or whatever, and things like that, and it was just a little weird, and then it all kind of made sense. So I don't want to spoil anything. Don't want to tell you what happens necessarily, but I do want to give a shout out to my co-host of All About Acting, Laura Jean, who did such an amazing job as Hannah. I mean, I've talked to her, personally and everything like that, and I know her, and I know her personality and everything, and it is not Hannah at all. And she did such a great job. I mean, and the thing is, all these actors are horror actors a lot. Like, a lot of them are horror actors. Hunter Johnson is a horror director, and he also acts. Charles Chudabala does a lot of horror films. I think he does other things too, but horror is the main thing. So when they also do comedy, I think that's awesome. Somebody who can do both, that's just cool. So I really enjoyed the movie. Felissa Rose kind of stole like some scenes that she was in. I mean, this girl, woman, acts in a ton of like amazing movies, and she gives like 100%. And so I always see her going above and beyond what like would probably call for the role, and I love that. She was in like the Victor Crowley movie, and some people probably might not be happy with the way that she portrayed that character. I loved it. I thought it was absolutely amazing, and I haven't really heard much bad things. I'm just saying that like it takes it to a different level, and so does this movie. This movie takes a lot of these characters to a different level, and I think if you're in the mood for a Christmas sort of themed movie, I'm kind of laughing because I'm going to talk about the next movie, Sleigh Bells. And we're going to talk about that in a second. And those two movies were shot in California. So Christmas movies shot in California, they don't look like your typical, Christmas movie, because they're not in the snow, and they're not, that kind of thing. So, so when I watch these movies, these feel like movies I could watch anytime. In fact, Ugly Sweater Party isn't really technically like, even though I guess it takes place in Christmas and stuff, it doesn't have that necessary, like, it has to be a Christmas thing, like you watch like the Christmas Story, it has to be, you have to watch it in Christmas, or whatever, around Christmas. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I guess anything with like Christmas technically in the title, that's like the time of year, so that's when you would watch it. You wouldn't watch A Christmas Story in July, but you could watch Ugly Sweater Party in July, and I feel like it wouldn't lose any kind of impact. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was off the wall, weird, crazy, fun. Please go check it out. Every cent helps. So if you guys rent or buy the movie, it goes right back to the company that produced it and everything. And I mean, it's an independent gem to me. I've talked to a lot of people who've actually watched it, and the people that have watched it have said they really enjoyed it, and they even showed it to other people and stuff like that, because it's just one of those movies, like, once you watch it, you're going to want to show it to other people, because it's such a strange thing. So I hope it gets a DVD release sometime soon, but right now it's on Amazon if you want to go check it out. So just like my next one, I'm going to talk about in 2 seconds. Okay. Hey everybody, and so we're going to talk about Sleigh Bells. All right, Sleigh Bells, okay, so I've got to get this right. It is written by Spooky Dan Walker and Jessica Lewison. I'm going to pronounce that name wrong, I'm sorry. And it's also directed by Spooky Dan Walker. it stars Christina Klebe, who you might know from Halloween, the Rob Zombie Halloween. Barry Bostwick, which you might remember as I believe he was Brad in the Rocky Horror Picture Show movie with like Tim Curry and stuff like that. Stephen Ford and Barry Bostwick's been in a lot of other things. I'm just using that as an example. Stephen Ford, Susan Slaughter, Hannah Wagner, Diane Salinger, Joel Hebner, and Richard Mole, among many others. Just like Ugly Sweater Party, it has a lot of cast members in this movie. So if you want to see a movie, just kind of understand like there are main stars in this movie, but like there's going to be a lot of it's an ensemble cast in a way. Like there's a lot of characters in it. So let me go into kind of a little bit of the plot, and once again it's going to be spoiler free. So I'm going to try not to give anything that's going to like ruin the movie for you guys. But basically the gist of it is three girls, two girls that are like cosplaying vidcasters who they have this show called Adventure Girls. They go on these little adventures and they take stuff from wherever they're going and as souvenirs, I guess. It's kind of a little bit described, but like obviously they're stealing the stuff or whatever, but they say it's like they're not being used or whatever. So they're going on this thing. They want their friend to join them, played by Christina Klebe. She's supposed to work, but they somehow have got her shift changed so that they can go on this trip with them. And they're going to like Santa Land, which apparently is where the real Santa lives, which they don't know this and stuff. And it's supposed to be abandoned. Nobody's been there in years and stuff like that. And they can go pick up all these trinkets and different things. When they get there, they get to a bar and they find out all this information about how like there's like a bear in the area. And of course, just like any good horror movie, the characters are like, it's okay, let's just go anyway. Even though there's like a crazy bear that's going to attack at any time, let's go. And because that's what horror movies do. Otherwise there would be no story. I mean, they just go home. And so where would the fun thing of that be? So anyway, they go out and they come across, there's not a bear, but there's Krampus. And he's going off and killing, kids, just like Krampus does, and eating them and stuff like that. And they think it's a bear, because like who would think that Krampus actually exists and stuff like that. So they need the help of Santa Claus to get rid of Krampus. And you know what? That's not spoiling anything because that's literally like the plot synopsis on like IMDb pretty much. So to go into it, I really enjoyed this movie just again. I didn't like it as much as I liked Ugly Sweater Party. I'm not going to lie. But I still really enjoyed this movie. There's some twists and turns and different things that I didn't see coming. And I liked the originality of it because generally you have either a movie where a person is like Santa dealing with whatever, or you have Krampus. And the fact that they have both of them together and it worked. Barry Bostwick looks amazing as Santa. At first you're like, oh wow, this Barry Bostwick looking like a rugged whatever Santa. Then they do him in the full costume and I'm just like, this is amazing. And so I'm like, that's really cool. Like, I dug that. Because at first when I heard Barry Bostwick was playing Santa, I had a little bit of doubts on it. I didn't think he could pull that off necessarily. But he does a great job. So I would recommend watching this just for him alone. So definitely check that out. And check this movie out. It's on Amazon as well. Kristen Klebe is great. I've loved her ever since I first saw Halloween, and I've seen her in other films, and I still enjoy her. I felt like she really got to shine in this movie. She got to be dramatic scenes. She got to have kind of romantic scenes. She got to have like a bunch of stuff when all the other characters kind of had to deal with all this stuff. She was going through her own like emotional stuff. So I really enjoyed that. Stephen Ford, I don't know if I've seen him before or not. He did a wonderful job as like he wasn't like the sheriff or anything, but he was like a ranger who was working with the cops and stuff like that, trying to help them because I guess there was a low percentage on cops or whatever. Like he was needing to come in and help them deal with this bear attack that was happening. Richard Mole, other than his name factor, I was kind of disappointed. I just I get kind of weirded out about seeing like when I see a big name on a movie, independent film, I get really excited. I'm like, oh man, that's gonna be really cool. And then sometimes it's just very lackluster, and I felt like that was the problem. Was like he didn't have enough stuff in it. Like he was playing one of the cops, and I felt like he should have played like the chief. The chief had more scenes, and I felt like this was just like they ran into Richard Mole one day and was like, "Hey, you want to be in this movie? You know, we've got it already SAG, so come on out." Because that's what it felt like. It didn't feel like he provided much, and I was kind of disappointed by his role in it. And plus, he had hair, man. I hate to say this, but I love Richard Mole when he like plays like he was in that movie Sidekicks with I think he was in Sidekicks if I'm correct. He was like the gym teacher or something, and he had like if I'm right, he had the bald head just like he did in Bull and Night Court. And so I'm just like when I see him with hair, it's just like that's just weird to me. I don't know. I like him bald. I'm weird like that, I guess. Whatever. But he was just it just didn't feel like he kind of had much to do with the movie. So if you're going to see this movie because you think, oh man, well, I don't know if you'd ever think this way or not, but Richard Mole's in this movie. I can't wait to see it. Don't watch it for Richard Mole. Watch it for the original interesting storyline because you'll be very disappointed by. I could be wrong, but if I remember correctly, he was only in like one scene. And I was just like, oh, because I even forgot he was in it because I remember seeing in the cast list that he was in it. And I even forgot he was. And then he shows up and I'm like, okay, is he going to be in any more scenes? Is he going to show up again? Not really. So if you're there for Richard Mole, you'll be sadly disappointed. And I don't put that as strike against the film at all. I think that he was just one of the characters. But, when you kind of put it like Richard Mole's the star or something like a star in it, it gets really disappointing when you see him only being in it for like a minute. Independent films do this all the time, and hey, that's not a bad thing. Like, it really attracts people who wouldn't see your movie generally, who are like, hey, I like Bull from Night Court. I want to see that movie. But if that's all you've come to see, then you're gonna want to stay for the rest of the storyline, which I enjoyed. I liked the three girls, Kristen Klebe I mentioned, and then there's Hannah Wagner I really liked. I didn't like her like storyline necessarily because she had this like other like romance going on with this other guy that was treating her like crap, and then this other stuff happens and everything like that. I didn't care for that literally. I felt like that was just added just for some extra, just to give her something extra. And then I also really liked what's her name, Susan Slaughter. Oh, she was great, and I felt like she really, carried a lot of the film with herself. So I enjoyed her a lot. So like if you want to come see this movie, because there's some amazing girls. There is a little bit of nudity. I won't lie. There's a little bit of nudity. It's like I say, when it's a little bit, it's just a little bit. But it's there's nudity in the film, and so if you want to see that, great. But really, it's an original story. It's fun. It's kind of cute. It's like a cute little girl power kind of movie. So if you want to see that, definitely check it out. I think you guys will enjoy the film. I don't think it really has too many downfalls. It does have twists and turns that I didn't even see coming because they did it well enough where I just wasn't like, it wasn't a thought in my head. But I'm also not one of those people that's always thinking about that because I want to just get involved in the story, and I felt like I did. I got like involved in the story, and I just didn't see any of the twists coming. So I would definitely check this movie out if I were you, and let me know what you guys think. So thank you guys so much. This was it of my review. It's a little bit different. Obviously, I got my Christmas tree set up, my ugly sweater. We're ready to rock it out. So I guess I might do one more Christmas-themed horror review before Christmas, but this is something if you guys want to go out and buy something before Christmas and watch something to get you guys in the Christmas spirit. No pun intended with the idea of ghosts and stuff. If you want to get into the Christmas spirit, go ahead and buy these movies, rent these movies. I don't think you'll be disappointed at all. I think if you are going in there expecting to just have fun and enjoy this stuff, great. If you're looking for something that's gonna completely like change your life or something, horror is probably not, for you anyway. Because I don't think horror will have that effect necessarily these days. But it will be fun. It will be very enjoyable. It will be something that you'll enjoy. So thank you guys for checking this out, and see ya. Bye.